welcome everybody to the next installment of the Maximum Performance webinar series. We want to welcome you to today's program. My name is Eric Janesco. I'm the head coach and CEO here at Maximum Acceleration, the professionals coaching company. And I want to greet you and welcome you to today's webinar. We're excited to have my good friend and colleague, Mr. Jeff Mifsud, on the line with us today. So we've got some exciting programming for you. There's just a couple of preamble things that we want to take care of right here at the top of the webinar. Those of you who are frequent guests to this series know that the intent and purpose of this program was designed to help loan officers who are really dedicated to perfecting their craft and sharpening their skills when it comes to business development and growth. And we focus on marketing, sales, business development, operations, efficiencies, and anything and everything that's in the way of you getting from where you are to where you want to be as fast as humanly possible. So today's episode is no different, but there's a couple of things that we want to do to help you get the most out of today's program. A couple of things. One is that if you're just logged in, we found over the several hundred episodes of this series that we've done now that you get the best overall audio experience if you go ahead and use the telephone option instead of the computer mic and speakers option. If you're having any popping, cracking, distortion, if my voice is out of sync with the video you're seeing, or if you're having any kind of difficulty at all with the audio quality, usually it's a result of the fact that you're just trying to push too much through not only your internet connection, but also whatever else is running on your computer. And we typically find that you get a much better overall experience if you go ahead and dial in for the program using the telephone option. To do that, go ahead and hit the plus sign by the audio word that's on your control panel, usually on the right side of your screen. And then, of course, use the phone number and access code that show up on your control panel. Keep in mind the one that's grayed out here on the screen is just for demonstration purposes. The actual number is unique to you and your login. So please make sure you dial in using the phone number, access code, and audio pin that is in your screen on your control panel. Secondly, we are going to be interactive with today's program. As Jeff and I are sharing ideas and concepts with you, please feel free to chime in as you think of questions, punch those in, and let us know what you'd like to get some additional guidance or clarity on. Secondly, as just help me out here, make sure we've got the sound quality dialed in properly. I'm going to ask for you to go ahead and test out the Q&A system. Let me know you can access that control panel and communicate with myself and with Mr. Mifsud by going ahead and chiming in. Let me know, can you hear me loud and clear? Yeah, go ahead and chime in, folks. Let me know if there's any problems with the audio quality. And then, Mr. Jeff, if you'd say a few words to greet the folks, if you'd let us know if you can hear Jeff clearly as well.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. Look forward to sharing some great ideas with you along with Eric.
Okay, sounds like everything's working fairly well here. I think we're about ready to get this show on the road. All right, give me just a second to handle one quick thing on the back side, and then we'll get started right away. All right? All right, folks. Well, welcome once again to the Maximum Performance webinar series. My name is Eric Janesco, head coach and CEO here at Maximum Acceleration, the professionals coaching company. And we originally started this series in August of 2012 as a way of bringing a community of originators and realtors together to talk about ways to help you grow your business faster. And today's a very exciting episode to share with you. My good friend and longtime colleague, Mr. Jeff Mifsud, is here to share what he's learned about how to break barriers of production, how the best LOs get better. Jeff, you and I have known each other for, oh gosh, going on 12, 13 years now. I mean, we originally met at one of the original business plan conferences. Of course, we had been working under faculty at Loan Toolbox for a couple of years at that point. I happened to be sitting right next to Jeff as we were listening to Ben Zander provide an incredible program about how to really grow and expand your business and some of the ways in which to fix the mindset issues that we often struggle with. And Jeff commented about my singing of a particular song that we all were celebrating. It was a great opportunity opportunity to get to know him. Jeff is a gentleman who has a superior knowledge of the market, not only having built and maintained a successful mortgage origination practice and building a mortgage company, but also owns a real estate franchise as well. So he has the insight and knowledge of having worked with hundreds of agents. Very, very successful in the industry, a long-time trainer, speaker, and coach to the industry who really has a passion for giving something back to the industry and creating massive value. Well, one of the interesting projects that Jeff took on a couple of years ago was going through a series of interviews with some of the top performing loan officers in the business. And what he's going to share with us today is kind of what he's learned about going through that process of really investigating what are the best of the best of the best in our industry doing, and how did they break through those ceilings of resistance and barriers to production growth. So Jeff, with that, I'm gonna let you kind of take it away and share what you have to share today.
Okay, great. Well, the first thing I want to talk about is just learn. I have a slide here: learn and adapt. The quickest path to success is to model those already doing it. One of the things that is really important, and one of the things that I've learned from the best MLOs out there, and just as an aside, I've interviewed MLOs that write a few loans a month from my training of thousands of loan officers across the country over the past 10 plus years, and I've interviewed some MLOs that are closing nearly 1,000 loans a month. So these are the biggest guns in the industry, the true mortgage greats that have figured out how to produce high volume. So, but one of the things that I see is that you can't necessarily imitate action for action what others are doing, because you're a unique individual. So you need to learn and adapt it to your own style and what your passion is in the industry. The first thing I think you need to determine, I'm not really going to teach you anything new, but what me and Eric are hopefully going to help you do is to get you to act, to do something different. And one of the things that I see as a very common trait amongst the best, these are people that are closing hundreds and hundreds of loans per year. How do they do that? Well, one of the questions they answer is that, what do you want? They know exactly what they want. So you have to think about your business and decide exactly what you want. If you don't have a clear vision of what you want, then it's going to be very difficult for you to take a path to achieving success. I have this graphic here of a target, right? So many people think of a target and okay, they have an idea what they want, but I chose this one specifically because it has the crosshairs in it, right? So that tells me that there's a site there. People are looking through a site to look at that target, and they're extremely focused on it. So when you have a target, everyone has a goal, right? But you need to put your barrel right on that target and focus your eye on it. That's what the crosshairs represent. And you need to be just very, very clear on what you want. That's really the first thing, because around that target, then you create your vision. And that's where it comes to the constant clarity. Once you have your vision, you need to have constant clarity on it and keep moving toward that target, toward your goal. Now, we all know that life happens. You may think you're going to be getting loans from a particular referral partner, and you don't. You put a lot of time and effort into that referral partner, but it doesn't happen, so you need to redirect. The beautiful thing about life is that you can always redirect your life. You can always create a different target, right? And you can keep moving toward your goal. The main thing is that you're assessing your results that you're getting, and you're redirecting your efforts. So the next thing is, what are you doing today? There's another thing that I see that the best MLOs out there are able to do is that they are very, very disciplined. Okay, and it's the specific daily disciplines that helps you reach your annual goals. At the beginning, at the end of every year, Eric does great business planning workshops, as you all may know, and I love attending them. I've learned a lot from Eric over the years. And one of the things that he's very good at is helping people determine what their specific daily disciplines are. Because if you don't have daily disciplines, you're not going to reach your weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly goals. It's impossible. You need to know exactly what you're doing. So one of the things that I think is very helpful, and Jason Womack teaches this very simple concept, is setting tasks at the end of each day. I just interviewed a top loan officer from Northern California. She does hundreds of loans a year. And she actually, she writes down with physical pen and paper, what she's going to do the next day at the end of each day. So before she leaves the office, she is setting her tasks for the next day. That way, when she comes in the next morning, she knows exactly what she's going to do. How many of you out there listening end up wasting time in the office? I call them spin tasks, right? You end up doing things that aren't productive. They're not helping you grow your business. So, and a lot of times we get distracted because we don't know exactly what we're going to do that day. So start with realistic goals, all right? So be very, very careful, be very deliberate about the goals you're going to create. And when you start changing a habit, you got to start with simple goals that you can achieve.
Absolutely. Jeff, let me interrupt you for just a second, because one of the things that we focus on a lot with our coaching clients is not only do we have to set those goals as far as how many leads per week we need to be generating to hit our income targets, but we need to be monitoring and tracking, are we or are we not on pace? And so, like, for example, one of the things we work on a lot with coaching clients is just having a simple system for tracking. And like, for example, the interview, what you shared with the loan officer from Northern California, the discipline and the habit, I mean, if we really want to change who we are and what we're accomplishing on a daily basis, it really comes down to changing those innate behaviors, right? Which means a lot of external reinforcement and repetition over an extended period of time is what it takes to convert those habits. And the best of the best have a habit of doing those simple things consistently that yield big results. And so, like, for example, even as something as simple as a log that you keep on how many leads you've brought in this week. And if your lead target is 5 leads a week and it's Thursday and you only have 2 in the door, what activity adjustment can you make to grab those extra 3 leads in 2 or 3 days? And it's one of the hallmarks of every great originator I've ever talked to or had the opportunity to work with. So guys, the key element here is, what is the tool that's going to help you establish those great habits? And the easier it is and the more in your face it is, the better it's going to work to help to create that reinforcement habit.
Yeah, one of the things that Eric has, and Eric, you're just a wealth of like worksheets and tools that people can use. I know you have a lot, you're big in tracking. So, if anyone out there watching this is not using any of Eric's tracking tools, I really suggest you doing that because it's going to help you keep on track, because, like this slide is saying, what are you doing today? And one of the things when I was originating, I would constantly ask myself, I felt if I was getting off track, what am I doing right now? Am I focused? And I would keep redirecting myself to the actions that I need to take on that day. So if you're not doing that, work on making that a habit and staying really acutely focused on what you need to achieve that day. That's going to help you reach your goals at the end of the year. Okay, the next thing that I find that the top MLOs out there are very good at is controlling their environment. So you have to ask the question, does your environment support you? Okay, you can have the clearest vision. You can have the greatest goal, an achievable goal, right? Some people set unrealistic goals. You can have a very realistic, achievable goal. But if your environment does not support you, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to reach your goals. So you need to create an environment of focus to get things done. I was recently interviewing a MLO also from California, and this person actually faced her desk toward a wall. She said her office is a more modern office, and they have a lot of glass walls, and it's very, very distracting. So, and she turned her desk toward the wall, so her back is toward her back is toward all of the activity out there going on in the hallways and the different offices. It's a very big distraction. So for her, she needs to have focus. So she changed her environment. Sometimes it's something as simple as that to prevent you from being distracted. And part of it is we're so distracted with what we see, right? We see something and it interrupts our our pattern of thought and breaks our focus. So if you need to change your desk in your office so you're not looking at it alone, there's nothing's going to distract you visually, so you can stay focused on making the calls or sending the emails, whatever it is you need to accomplish, do that. Look at your environment. Those around you, are the people around you supporting you? People are so much a part of our environment. Is our family supporting us? Sometimes you need to have a conversation with your family and set clear boundaries on when the times you need to be working and the times you have for family. We'll talk about that later in having life balance. But you need to make sure your environment is supporting you, because I want you to achieve your goals. Because how many of you out there every year know you can achieve something better, but you get thrown off track and you don't do it? Well, part of it is in your environment, and many people don't think about their environment and what it is around them that can help them. The next thing that the best MLOs are doing out there, they're prospecting. They're talking to people all the time. I have found, and I've trained loan officers coast to coast, from the Atlantic Ocean over to the Pacific, and one of the things that is very clear to me is that the happiest MLOs out there are the ones that are creating relationships. I've been in a lot of different types of shops. I've been in shops where they're focused more on internet leads and online marketing, and I can tell you I don't find a lot of happy people in those environments, because they're a lot of high pressure. You're not creating the deeper relationships that can give you a great foundation for a bigger business. That's just my observation over the many years I've been in offices and speaking to loan officers. You could be one of those people that work internet leads and you're very happy, and that's great for you. But overall, the types of MLOs that I see creating the highest production and creating the greatest businesses that they're so happy about are the ones that are out there talking to people. Because successful transactions are based on successful relationships. And so prospecting creates opportunities and production. I have this graphic here with a hand shaking with a sun behind it. The sun is energy, and it gives plant life energy, and then we consume the plants. It gives us energy. We can't live without the sun, and it's energizing. It gives us energy, and so that's why I have this. When you're connecting with other people, are those people energizing you, or are they bringing you down? So you need to really be focused on getting in front of more people. Zig Ziglar used to teach and always say that you have to go out and see the people. That the most successful ones out there are the ones that are always talking to people, and they love talking to people. So, and just be very careful with being focused on or creating a plan to get out there and meeting people. Even if it's just once a week, if you're not doing it now to meet more people, start with once a week, 1 hour. Whatever it is, you know yourself the best. So just create a plan to get out there and start meeting more people. And say for example, you've been working with builders over the past several years, and you're just down about it. You get shopped at the end. People are leaving you for an eighth on rate, and it's the construction period takes a long time. You're maintaining that file, and it just drains you. Well, if it's draining you, then find a different niche to get into. It's all about change. The beautiful thing about the mortgage industry and the real estate industry is that there are so many different niches you can create for yourself. So take a look at your business, and how do you feel about those that you're surrounding yourself with? If they're bringing you down, then it's time for some new relationships. The next thing I want to talk about is really the importance of having life balance. Is the last slide I'm going to talk about today. But you can be the most successful person, but if you don't have peace, you don't have joy in your life from those you love the most, then it kind of makes business a drag, and it doesn't make it even worth it. You can have all the money in the bank, but if you don't have great relationships with those that you love, it makes it less pleasurable. So you got to commit to those that you love. And it's about creating boundaries with your business and with your relationships. And you just have to know that how you are with your family says a lot about how you feel about them. Now, deep down, you could really, have the most love for your kids or your spouse, but if your actions show that you don't have time for them, then that sends a particular message. So, you need to set boundaries. And what I say to clients is that, and NLOs when I'm speaking to them about having life balance, is that just like you plan, you put into your planner and you schedule time for your best clients and your best referral partners, do the same thing for those you love in your family. Those that you want to create a deeper relationship. It's never too late to make a relationship better. I can't tell you how much kids appreciate it when you turn off your cell phone or you take them out to lunch or dinner and you don't take your cell phone. I specifically do that. And I let them see that I'm leaving my phone at home or leaving it in the car. And it usually just creates such a big smile because they know that they have me and that's their time and I'm 100% present. So how do you want to be remembered? It's one of the questions that I ask myself. I mean, kids aren't going to remember the great all the loans you closed, or Dad, I'm so happy you closed all those loans this year. They're not going to remember that. They're going to remember the times and the memories you created with them. So it's important to have total life balance and look at it in a holistic way. And it's one of the things that I find that top MLOs do. They're doing huge volume, and many of them do have a specific plan for creating life balance because you can get burned out very easily doing volume on that level. So
absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Guys, one of the things that I admire about Jeff, and one of my favorite things that I do when I work with Jeff on projects is that I know that his voicemail is a tool that he uses to articulate that. And one of the ways that he does that is because of the fact that when I call him, his voicemail says, look, between Friday at 5 o'clock and Saturday at 5 o'clock, that's family time. And
right.
He doesn't answer his phone. He doesn't pay attention to anything work-related for those 24 hours. It's totally dedicated to him and his family's time to do what's important to them in building that family. So, Jeff, I've always admired you for that, for how you put it right out there, and you create that barrier. Guys, far too often originators have a habit of just reacting to the environment around them, letting everything and everybody else around them, dictate what they're going to spend their time doing. And as a result, there's a massive loss of efficiency. There is a massive loss of control. There is a massive likelihood of being sucked into what everybody else thinks you should be doing with your time. And if you aren't in the driver's seat, everybody else is. And that's the reality of it, is that there's no middle ground there. You're either in control yourself or everyone around you is, and which is a more effective and more efficient way of doing things.
Eric, there's another thing I wanted to talk about is the difference between working in your business and working on your business. And I know this is something that you've spoken about in the past, but I want everyone to really think about that. Too many of us are working in the business and we're not stepping outside of our business and working on the business. What do you need to do to move your business forward? You need to step back and analyze the systems that you have in place right now. If there may be areas where you don't have any systems in place, where you need some systems, where a little tweak will help free you up with some more, give you more time to do more prospecting. Because, let's face it, if you're not out there selling, then you're going to go out of business. So you need to really focus on prospecting. So step back from your business. Take some time, really, I think on a weekly basis. Some people do it, have a daily plan for looking outside their business, but at least I think a weekly or even a monthly basis, step outside of yourself. You work on your business. That's an important aspect of business planning, is looking at more of the big picture. Then you can come in and dial in and get more granular about, and all the way down to what the daily specific disciplines need to be to help you reach your goal.
Absolutely. Guys, we advocate to our coaching clients that they spend at least 30 minutes a week and at least 5 to 10 minutes each morning and each evening reviewing, am I working at my highest level of efficiency? The reality is we have a tendency to all get so busy being busy that we forget to be productive, and we forget to ask the question, is there a faster, easier way to accomplish the goal of what I'm trying to achieve? And so, as a result of that, if we don't take the time out to take a step back and look at things from that a little bit more external perspective, that helicopter view, if you will, we're going to continue to be in the grind of working really hard and burning ourselves out, knowing that we could be potentially spinning our wheels, accomplishing very little in some cases.
I think that's yeah. Go ahead, Eric.
Well, I was going to say, I think it's probably not a bad time to maybe go to some questions. There's a couple of things that have been posted here in the Q&A that I want to go ahead and mention that I was going to respond to as well. Jeff, if you want to go ahead and flip to the Q&A slide, I'm going to address one quick question, which is ideas on building the relationships. Now, Jeff, when you were interviewing those top originators, I don't know, with the series so far, you've done, what, 23, 24 interviews so far, all told?
About that, yeah.
Yeah. So what was some of the keys that those top MLOs used to really build strong relationships or partnerships? What were some of the keys that you saw? Were there any consistencies?
Well, one of the things that's really, I mean, this is across the board. The more personal it gets, the more likely you are to get business. Bob Berg says that people do business with who they know, like, and trust, and it's very true. The amateur, the lower level loan officer that's not great at what I call relationship marketing and developing relationships, they may get opportunities to be in front of agents, for example, real estate agents, and be good at getting in there and giving presentations, but they're not connecting with the audience. They're not connecting with specific agents. They're just going in there, giving information, and then saying goodbye. One of the things that one LO that I'm thinking of, he would always, if he knew an agent, he would invite that agent to lunch and ask them to bring someone else, because it was an easy way for him to create a relationship through another one. Relationship marketing is the best because it's all warm. There's no cold calling. So if you think about it, write down a list of all the real estate agents that you know. All right. Make it a point to invite every one of them out to lunch, and every time you do that, have them invite their friend on that lunch appointment. So now you have a new agent. And the beautiful thing about this technique, and I liked it when he first told me about it, and it's such an easy thing to do because that agent has a friend, right? So they're bringing their friend, and the agent that you have a relationship with is really it's like a third-party testimonial for you. So and it gives you credibility because you're already friends with that agent. So if they're friends, then the new person that's coming, the new agent's coming to lunch, it's automatically going to have trust and hold you in esteem, because it's one of their friends. So there doesn't have to be any cold calling. That's the amazing thing about this technique. And if you did that, let's just say 10 agents. Well, if you did that then you'd have 10 new agents, and then you can do the same thing with those agents. Determine how many you need. You don't really need that many agents, which leads me to another point, is that some people think that they'll say, well, I have 150, 200 agents on my email list. Well, how many of those are actually sending you business? I found that the best MLOs are the ones that have a smaller group of agents, say maybe 10 to 12, but they go deep with them. They go on trips with them. They go to movies. They go to dinner. They go out to all types of different social events. So and they develop friendships. So that's a nice thing too. You can create friends at the same time. They go golfing together. But it's all about meeting the types of people that energize you, that you like to be around. And that's the beautiful thing about that real estate or real estate and mortgage industry, is that it's filled with lots of people. So if you don't like this type of person, then you do business with another type of person. Like, say, for example, when a mortgage is in process, right? So you're working with the buyer agent and the seller agent. So you have an opportunity to get to know them, and sometimes you'll learn very quickly that, hey, this isn't an agent I want to do business with, and sometimes it will be. So your goal during that process during that mortgage processing time is to develop better rapport with the agent you want to develop a relationship with. It's your time to shine. I always say that, you know, the processing period is a time for you to really market yourself by showing them what you can do. So that's one technique that I thought of that's very, very easy.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'll piggyback on that just a little bit too, in that, you know, one of the things that I found with a lot of the business, the top agents that or loan officers that we've had the opportunity to work on, is they're constantly trying to find ways to add value that means more than just the ability to get one deal done. At the end of the day, you know, just being able to get a transaction closed on time and communicate well throughout the transaction is kind of the basic job requirement. And beyond that, 99 out of 100 loan officers promise it, and 98 out of 99 mess it up. So why would you want to associate yourself with all the bozos who mess it up before you? Whereas if we can find a way to add value that lives above and beyond the ability to close one deal, how do we become the asset that helps them do substantially more business in the coming weeks, months, and years? And by looking at how to help them collaborate with other partners, like, for example, the bringing a friend to the lunch appointment, a lot of times that creates more of that team synergy. A lot of times they'll bring, if they're a listing agent and they do primarily the listing side of things, a lot of times they'll bring their buyer's agent with them. Well, the buyer's agent is who most loan officers want to actually talk to and build value with. But even beyond that, working with listing agents, a lot of the top originators that I work with will, leverage every contract they've got by making a proactive call to the listing agent on those deals as soon as those offers are being made, even before contracts are accepted, especially in competitive markets. They're making that initial overture to create a positive relationship with that listing agent before a deal goes sideways, or before, even to elevate the credibility of the buyer in those relationships and humanize why that buyer is so in love with that house.
Eric, that's a good point, because that's one of the things I was gonna mention, but you really said it. And many of the MLOs that I speak with that do a lot of business from the real estate industry, from business from realtors, is that they have a plan in place during the process. If you're watching this or listening to this and you don't have an in-process plan for marketing yourself, and marketing isn't about making a sales presentation, it's just about doing a better job than everyone else. And that's what Eric is saying. So just if you're calling a listing agent, if you're not calling listing agents and introducing yourself, then you're really dropping the ball. It's an opportunity for you to introduce yourself, because you're going to be with them. If that deal gets accepted, you're going to be speaking to them over the next 45 to 60 days, depending on how long it takes. So it's really an opportunity, and it's another opportunity where it's not cold calling. You're introduced through the transaction, and it's a great way to increase the amount of referral partners you have.
Absolutely. There's another element to that, guys, which is, what's the highest probability of losing a deal on a purchase, right? If you're an unknown entity to that listing agent, you're no better than bozolender.com, and that agent's probably at some level afraid of whether you're going to mess up their paycheck, which is why typically agents would encourage a borrower to move to somebody else they did have trust in. It's not because most agents are not sleazeballs who have malicious intent. It's usually because they're motivated by fear or desperation. And so, if we can assuage those fears, if we can empathize with that agent, create, again, that personal connection, that personal relationship, that sincere desire to help them achieve their goal, then a lot of that fear and anxiety dissipates, and we reduce the probability of a listing agent pulling a deal away from us, which happens frequently, because, again, we're no better than bozolender.com if they don't know us. If we don't take the time to get to know them, why shouldn't they feel it to somebody they have more trust in?
Right, and you have to understand that the financing is what closes the deal. So how important is that conversation? How important is the conversation between the selling agent and their seller, right? So if you preempt the call and you call them before they speak with their seller when they're presenting that offer, and you give them the confidence that that deal's going to close. You've verified income, assets, credit, right? So now they're going to go back to their seller with a lot more confidence. It's a way for you to help the buyer agent close deals. That's something that I did in every purchase transaction. It was a great thing because the buyer agent, it does a couple things. When you call the listing agent and you give them the confidence the loan's going to close, which is the most important part of accepting an offer, right? Because if the mortgages are going to go through, there's no sale. So the first thing you do is you're helping the buyer agent, because the buyer agent really appreciates that you did that and helped close the deal for them because the financing is so important. The second thing is you're giving the selling agent, the seller's agent confidence the deal's going to close. So what does this do? The seller's agent, the listing agent says, "Wow, this guy, he's really good. He'll do the same thing for my clients." So when that listing agent is working with the buyer, right, they know you're going to call the listing agent on that and help them close that deal. That's the beauty of this simple communication, and it's a great call to make, because if you feel confident the deal's going to close, then it's a really easy to call, and it makes you look so good. And I can tell you, most loan officers are not doing that. They don't have a plan to do it. They don't like picking up the phone call. They want to hide behind email. So you do that one simple action, you're setting yourself apart from the rest, and now you're laying the groundwork for developing a new referral partner. It's a great strategy.
Absolutely. Well, guys, there's another couple of questions in here I want to try and get to. Go ahead and continue to fuel these questions in, guys, because it's a great way to pick the brain of somebody who's literally an expert in the industry. He's done hundreds of deals himself personally, and he's coached and trained hundreds of loan officers, some of the top of the industry, as to some of these ideas and strategies. I guess one of the other things that I wanted to kind of highlight, I want to go back to something, Jeff, you said about support team and structure. And if you wouldn't mind, in fact, go ahead, if you can hop back to that slide 9. Just because, one of the things that we find is consistent among top producers is that they recognize, understand, and appreciate that, some of the barriers to growth are our time, right? Every loan officer at some point, whether it's 5, 6, 7 deals a month, is going to hit a ceiling that you just cannot break beyond without beginning to duplicate yourself. The problem that we have is that most loan officers have a tendency to buy into the myth that customers buy us. We have the relationship. We're the guy that has to do everything. And that's not what customers buy, and what Jeff has shared with me many times through the interviews that we've reviewed, and what I heard in the interviews that I listened to the recordings of, is that these top originators understand that it's not me they buy, it's the experience I have a reputation of creating. So if I can duplicate the experience, then there's no limit to what volume I could do. I mean, Jeff, what are some of the numbers on some of the folks you've interviewed over the years? What's their volumes?
One guy, he closed over 1,000 loans. It was the #1 loan officer according to Scotsman Guide. And then I've interviewed, many that are, 300, 400, 500 loans a month, and they have teams around them to support that type of volume. But it all started, with 4, 5, 6 loans a month, and they just scaled it. They just kept doing more and more more prospecting, creating better relationships to get more deals in. And then we didn't even talk about once you have a database, marketing to your database. So many of them are also very good at, they have a plan on the back end, marketing to their database. Many of them don't, they focus on, say, the top 50, and those top 50 can send a lot of business. They identify and they segment their database into those who are, people that have very strong spheres of influence that can refer a lot of people, and they spend time and energy and do special events for those people. It's a great way to create a deeper relationship, strengthen that relationship, and it's cheaper than doing traditional marketing. You're investing in your database. So that's another thing. If you're not looking at your database and analyzing who the best people are that have the potential to refer you business, then you're throwing money away. I mean, why did you go to all that effort trying to get those clients just because you can close one deal. The best MLOs understand that when they have a client, that client is worth tens and tens of thousands of dollars, especially if it's someone that has a very big sphere of influence. So think about that. And if you don't have a plan in place for developing a relationship with someone that's very influential and knows a lot of people, then you're missing a big time opportunity.
Absolutely. Guys, there's one other element to this too, which is the strength of that relationship and the strength of how you interact with that database, and I encourage them to introduce you to folks who could benefit from this amazing housing opportunity is a big part of how you grow your business. I mean, my last 12 months in retail origination was 2003. I did 237 purchase transactions, about 80% government loans, FHA and VA. I had a two-person support team, and the only hesitation or resistance is I was hitting that next ceiling of growth, and the one thing I didn't figure out until I went back and interviewed a lot of these guys that were doing 30, 60, 80, 100 loans a month. I mean, Jeff, you were just sharing numbers of 300 to 400 deals a year. If you do the math on that, guys, that's 30 or 40 deals a month. And the big difference between my business in 2003 and the businesses of those who are doing substantially more is there was one additional layer of the process that I needed to scale back on or let go of or delegate to a team member. I'll be happy to share that with you if you want to talk one-on-one. One of the things that they do is they leverage resources and tools. In fact, my biggest challenge in 2003 is I was struggling to get to the pre-qualification requests fast enough. And one of the keys to that is I had 13 core partners that I built over about a 4-year period that I could depend on for a handful of leads or introductions or referrals a week. And every week I knew I was going to have 18 to 20 new pre-qual requests on my fax machine every Monday morning. And we had a very efficient system of how to filter through, prioritize the ones that were high priority cases for our best referral partners, prioritize the ones who had the greatest probability of accomplishing a loan, and unfortunately I needed to add a couple extra team members to get to the next level. But that was one of the key elements of it is technology, systemization, and consistent process. We spent a lot of time as a team looking at how to tighten and fine-tune how we were doing what we were doing and how to make sure that we were, that we were being very upfront. Jeff, you shared something the last time I had you on the webinar series about systemization and upfront filtering analysis. Would you mind going back and kind of sharing a little bit about what you learned from some of the top MLOs that you interviewed?
Well, systems are really important, and I would encourage everyone to, Joe Stumpf, who's a great trainer in the real estate industry, does some training with the MLOs as well, but he has a system. It's very simple. It's the before, during, and after, right? So break your business up and your process up into those 3 areas, and write down step by step what you do in each of those areas. To get a lead to come in, or to get someone to come in to speak with you, what are you doing on the marketing side to get that business in? Write down all your referral partners, everything you're doing to bring business in the door. Write that down. The second thing is what you're doing during the process, from processing the actual loan to marketing yourself during the transaction, like we spoke about with listing agent, the buying agent, and even we didn't even talk about trying to meet the attorney and the CPA of the client you're working with. That's another opportunity. But I think every MLO that I've worked with is very good at systems, is that they have a checklist. They've taken the time, and this is part of working on your business, and go through it. And I think it's a really healthy exercise to write down step by step what you do. And then, because once you have that checklist, it's easy to plug someone in. So say you grow your business from doing 10 loans a month and you want to go to 15, 20, and you're going to need an assistant. Well, once you have a checklist down, now it's easy to bring someone in and plug them in, because they can work off of that checklist, and those are all the items they need to do. It makes it a little bit more mechanical because there is a mechanical aspect to our business. One of the things you mentioned, Eric, was the use of technology, and I want to talk about that for a little bit. Technology is amazing. What's that?
No, I was going to say definitely.
Yeah, so technology has really altered our industry. I can remember, Eric, you and I got in the business before automated underwriting systems came into play, and we were there before DU and LP. And I remember when
you actually had to know how to underwrite a loan on the front end, right?
Yeah, I mean, we used to do good faith estimates by hand, and you had to really know the loan documents. And one of the things that I always say, and then computers became more important for loan officers. And what I always said is the computer killed the loan officer, it killed the salesperson, because so much time is wasted on the computer. Okay, the technology is great, but you need to really harness the energy of the harness what the technology can do, but learn how to control it, because it's a bull. And if you're not in control of that bull, it will get away and really can affect your business in negative ways. What I mean by that is, okay, processing technology I think is great, but I think a lot of people utilize technology and waste time on it. Like, for example, email. How many times a day do you need to check your email, right? So some people, they'll choose to check it only at certain times a day. Now, there's certain times where you got to look for email, but really ask yourself, I mean, how much time are you spending on email, and how is that taking away from prospecting? That's one way. The other way is that I've found with top MLOs and social media. The whole social media, I think, I have found, just speaking to MLOs, it's largely, you got to be careful with it because it wastes a lot of time. I've asked MLOs from coast to coast, all around the country, that are into social media and blogging and creating online content, and I asked them point blank, how many deals do you get from this? What percentage of your business comes from social media and online, your website? Very, very little. I've asked this question so often over the years. There are only a few people that I've ever met that develop serious business from online marketing or social media. Obviously, if you have the dollars to throw at it, you can get online marketing. I mean, Quicken has shown that. They're, I think, the third or fourth largest originator in the country, so they have figured out the online marketing, but it's cost millions and millions of dollars. Most MLOs, can't do that. So, and I just think that a lot of time is wasted with blogging. The people that do, it's not that the best MLOs don't have a media online presence. They do, but they're very careful with how much time they put toward it. They're not spending a lot of time on them personally. Sometimes if they want to create a presence, then they'll hire an assistant to do Twitters and do little social media communications to their database. But they're spending very little time online. Why? Because they're out there meeting people. I can tell you that is part of what the top producers do, unless they're working for a company that gives them online leads, and they're just, they got the headset on there, they're sitting in the chair, and they do tons of volume that way. I'm not talking about that. That's a rare shop that has the type of money to create those types of leads. But I'm talking, but in general, they're out there meeting people. They're not spending time online.
Absolutely. All right, well, guys, there's a couple of things that I was going to introduce here, and I want to circle back. By the way, today's event is sponsored by Vantage Production. Both Jeff and I serve on the faculty. It's a volunteer position that we have been a part of for many, many years, and they've developed some very, very good systems to help automate a lot of that stuff. And that's one of the other things that we find with top producers, like Jeff mentioned a few minutes ago. Instead of spending dozens of hours a week writing content, leverage good content that's out there for you. And when it comes to being the trusted advisor, when it comes to creating information that is a constant opportunity to engage and create value with business partners, there really isn't anything better, in my opinion, in the industry than Vantage Production. If you guys are interested in finding out more, they are offering a free trial on the mortgage market guide system here as part of what Jeff and I are doing with today's event. We encourage you to check them out because, like, for example, the social media syndication thing. There's some like 4,000 different articles in the library that you or your marketing assistant could borrow from. That's great content, it's very well written, and it would be something worth talking about in a social media platform that would create a level of education and engagement with your customer base. It also automates all your drip marketing and follow-up and warm-up lead generation marketing and top-of-mind awareness and a lot of those other kind of things. Second thing I wanted to mention just really, really quickly, many of you were asking in the chat Q&A about what Maximum Acceleration is if you're new to the company or haven't heard of us. Our focus is on business development, coaching, and training. We offer basically 3 different platforms for that. You know, the number one way we help you explode your business is by offering one-on-one coaching. It's you and a coach, a couple hours a month on the phone talking about issues, challenges, and obstacles and how to overcome them. We do also offer large group on-site events as well as you know, over webcast type of series through our Quick Mass program, and we have a library of some home study courses you can check out on the website. But our goal is getting you from where you are to where you want to go as fast as humanly possible. Now, because of the variety of different programs that we offer, one of the things that we found over the years is the easiest, fastest way to get you the information about how coaching can help you grow faster is to actually experience it. So we offer what we call a no-cost, no-obligation strategy session. It's you one-on-one with a coach evaluating your biggest obstacle, giving you an action plan to solve that obstacle, and along the way talking if coaching might be a right fit for you or not and how to proceed. If you're interested in taking advantage of one of those no-cost, no-obligation strategy sessions, we only have a handful of them every week because we're pretty close to capacity right now as far as our coaching workload. So we only have a couple of these sessions available a week, but they're scheduled on a first-come, first-served basis. If you're interested in participating, just go ahead and post the best phone number and email address here in the chat or Q&A, and our team can follow up with getting a hold of you to get that appointment scheduled. Otherwise, if you're watching this on video later, feel free to hop on the website. mxlcoach.com/strategy is how you can request one of those sessions, and that'll notify our business development team that you're interested in finding out more, and they'll call you to get scheduled for that appointment. So go ahead and post that here in the Q&A if you want to go ahead and take advantage of that strategy session opportunity. For that being said, I wanted to spend just a few more minutes. Jeff, I don't know how much more time you've got available, but there were 1 or 2 more questions here oops, we went the wrong way. Bear with me just a second as we try and get back to the Q&A slide. One of the questions asked, Jeff, was can you provide some specific daily activities that the top producers do on a daily basis?
Yeah, I mean, the specific, prospecting is one of the things they're doing every day. They segment it into referral partners, referral partners and past clients. And so they're every day, they're referral partners that need to hear from you they haven't spoken to in a long time, right? So that's one of the things. They keep in touch, and they're always developing relationships. Now, some of these people have very large databases, so they can really segment and break theirs up over over a quarterly or annual basis. So that's one of the things. They're focused really so much on their database. These are the ones that have a lot of relationships. So that's one thing I would suggest that you do. I mean, look at your database. Rekindle the relationships. Why spend your time going out there and cold calling? When I originated loans, I couldn't stand cold calling. I focused entirely on relationship marketing, and I learned that from the top MLOs, and that's what I found when I'm training loan officers coast to coast. This is one of the things that they do, and so you can do the same thing as well. Look at your database, go back and just start calling people, have conversations, enjoy it, talk about your family, make it really personal. That's one of the things that I found is a very common trait with these top MLOs is that they love people, they love talking to people, and it just comes through in speaking with them, and they enjoy it. If you're not a people person, then you got to ask yourself why you're in the business. Because you can create amazing relationships with people, and that's how the business comes. So it's working on past referrals, current referral partners, and maintaining those relationships, and creating new ones, like the idea I gave you. Invite a referral partner to lunch and have them invite a friend. And the second thing is going through your database. And the first thing I would do, and this is what many of them do, is that get your top 25, your top 50, however big your database is, and really put a lot of emphasis and focus on making those relationships more personal.
Absolutely, guys. Well, it's been a great conversation, Jeff. I assume you've got another appointment you've got to jump to here momentarily, but I'm going to be hanging out for just a few more minutes, guys. If you want to go ahead and post any additional questions. There's one last thing I want to ask all of you to do. Before you hang up, before you jump off to that next email or phone call, take 30 seconds to finish this process of investing in yourself. I mean, you've already committed 58 minutes to learning something that's going to help you grow your business. But will it do anything for you if you don't actually implement any of the ideas that you've heard in today's program? So one of the things I always do to try and wrap these up is to give you an action plan, something that's going to put these things in process. So ask yourself real quick these 4 things. By the way, this is based on research that was done in 1993 by Brigham Young University. They identified there's basically 4 things you need to do if you want to create results. And that is, 1, to ask yourself, what did I learn? What do I want to implement? What's my goal? Second step is, what do I want to do about it? What are my action plans? What are the steps I need to take? So the third thing is, by when? Have a target date for completing those action steps. And then fourth is, who do I want to ask to hold me accountable? That I trust and respect enough that they'll be there consistently, that I can share my action plans with them, and I'll feel I'll feel guilty about breaking the promise to that person. If you do those 4 things, you have a 95% chance of implementing. So ask yourself this: what was the most valuable idea you heard in today's program that you want to implement first? Secondly, what actions do you need to take to make that a part of your daily business going forward? 3, by when will you have those actions implemented or completed? And 4th, who is that accountability partner going to be? Share that action plan with them. Ask them to check in with you regularly and follow up, holding you accountable to make sure that your ideas get implemented. With that being said, guys, if you'd like some help or support in that area, that's what we do here at Maximum Acceleration, is provide the training, guidance, support, and accountability that allows you to take your business to the next level. Our only goal is getting you from where you are to where you want to go as fast as humanly possible. So if you're interested in taking advantage of one of those strategy sessions, again, post it here in the Q&A. The best phone number and email address for us to connect with you and get that appointment scheduled. Or if you're listening on video, go ahead and hop on the website, mxlcoach.com/strategy, and that'll get you hooked up for getting one of those appointments scheduled. With that being said, Jeff, any final thoughts, ideas, or concepts you'd like to share with our group today?
Yeah, one of the things I thought about one of the things I love this last slide because it's all about action. It's about taking action, and I think one of the most important points here is holding someone accountable. I didn't talk about this in the webinar, but I can tell you that the best MLOs out there have invested tens of thousands of dollars in coaching. Any top athlete has a coach. I've spent thousands of dollars on coaching, and because I think what it is, there's a psychological component to it, because when you're investing money into something, you are more determined to make sure there's going to be a positive outcome. So I think that anyone that is out there doesn't have a coach, I really encourage you to have a strategy session with Eric and to see how talented he is. He's an originator, former originator, and he understands the business very well, and he's a great educator. Eric, I've learned so much from you over the years, and it's it's amazing work that you do. So that's one of the things I would encourage everyone to do. I mean, you can make whatever commitment you want, but sometimes it's just a quarterly commitment. That's one of the things that I see that best MLOs do, is that they have people that are guiding them. And if you want to get someone that's really good at guiding and holding you accountable, unfortunately, that costs money. And I've seen people try to use accountability coaches with coworkers and family, but it really doesn't work. It's not the same as making a financial commitment. So.
Yeah, definitely. Well, guys, we hope you've learned a lot from today's program. Like I said, we're going to be around and keeping the platform open for just a few more minutes here. If you have any additional questions, if you'd like to go ahead and post for that strategy session request, again, post it here in the Q&A. Just give us the best phone number and email address to be able to contact you for scheduling, and then we'll go from there. Guys, thanks again for joining us today. It's been a great program, and we wish you all the greatest success. If there's anything in the future we can do to help you accelerate your growth, please don't hesitate to ask. Otherwise, make it a great week, everybody.